So it's very nice to meet you. And thanks for coming to sit for this interview. I know sometimes they can be intimidating. I was wondering if you would like to introduce yourself to people who might watch the interview and a little bit about your background and your running for council.
Like my little bio.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Angeline Washburn. I have 6 children with 1 in heaven, and we have a lot of animals. We're animal people, so my kids have counted 8. I mean, that includes 2 small tortoises, but so we love animals, and we have a few businesses, and so one of the main reasons I jumped into doing this is because trying to have a small business, we feel like we're getting kind of stomped on by the city, and there's just so many hurdles to go through that I would love to kind of help small businesses a bit more so that they have a better opportunity to grow. I also, my oldest daughter passed away a few years ago by suicide.
I'm so sorry.
And so my other platform, or the big thing I want to push, is helping kids. The suicide rates have gone like crazy high, and so I would love to start something or do something. I mean, I have things in my head that I would love to kind of push forward, but things that kind of show kids that, you know, whatever they're going through, there's always more. There's something next, and you can have a really bad day, but there's just more to look forward to. And so to create confidence in these teenagers, to create a hope for the future, something that they can do, something big, something that they can create themselves at a young age, to be able to see that I do have a future here, and whether, you know, school is going awry or friendships are dying, that there's more out there. And so I wanted to build up something to help kids in our area. I mean, all over, but I'll start with our area. So that is
Those
me.
are really worthwhile goals.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. The interview today, we're going to be talking about the native open space and wildlife in Eagle Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, the work the city is doing to preserve those in the wildlife corridor.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first question I want to ask you is, how important do you think native open space and wildlife are to the residents of Eagle Mountain, and explain a little bit of why you believe the way you do?
I think it's very important whether they know it or not. I mean, again, I love animals, and I love, like when I first moved into Eagle Mountain, I would be on my exercise machines and see deer in my backyard, and I loved that. And I think they just add the beauty to Eagle Mountain that is Eagle Mountain, and I loved how rare that is in some major cities, and I would hate to become a major city and lose that. But being able to look and see our wild rabbits and everything. And I also I ride horses. Well, I had to sell my horse because of back issues, but we would ride our horses in the wild areas and see so many of these beautiful, sweet animals, and I've also seen a lot of the growth, and I feel like this growth is taking over where our animals are. And I know I spoke with the mayor about like we'd ride our horses a certain area, and then they were putting up signs that we could no longer do equestrian riding, and so we were baffled that we couldn't ride in these wild areas. And so trying to, like, not necessarily going into the wildlife, we didn't know anything about this, but understanding that we're getting pushed out. And that was hard for me to understand, that, you know, people wanting to go hike in these just open areas, that's disappearing. And these cities, our roads are being slammed with cars because I think it's just growing too quickly. And so kicking out the wildlife. And so I think it's important because it is what Eagle Mountain is. It's rural, and I would love for it to be more rural than Salt Lake.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I think that a lot of people feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how closely, if at all, you have followed the issues involved in developing and protecting the wildlife corridor. It takes place, a lot of that work is done in the Planning Commission and City Council meetings. and you're dealing with established property rights oftentimes. And so my question is, what would you believe would be the most difficult issue the city would face in preserving the wildlife corridor, and what are ways that you can think of, what tools would you have at your disposal or incentives could you offer to a property owner to help them be amenable to having the dedication of native land, native open space in their property for the wildlife corridor?
I really have no idea. I think I could only think of, like, maybe tax freedom's a little bit there, and I don't know. I really don't know.
That's okay. I think that there are a lot of people that are in that situation, and I admire you for being able to say you don't know instead of trying to fake some kind of an answer. I appreciate the honest response. So thank you.
I do think the hardest thing with the city is the cost of doing. I know when I had spoken with the mayor, he wanted to put a bridge over some roads, and I love that idea, but I also think that's like a huge cost, and so I think cost is going to be a huge endeavor.
Right. Finding ways to pay for things.
Yeah, and I can also see others' perspective on, well, we'd rather have people and human beings than animals, but I'm pretty sure that those animals are what make us feel. Yeah,
I agree. Real. They add a lot to our life, don't they? And we live where we do for a reason.
Yeah.
So thinking of that, do you feel that Eagle Mountain City is doing enough to preserve open space and native habitat and protect wildlife? Or do you have ideas?
I do, and I think they're not doing enough, but I also don't know. I'm not in all the meetings. I rarely go to planning meetings unless it benefits me, but I just think that they're not pushing enough. I just see way more growth than I see the protection of our areas, and then I feel like those areas, again, repeating that it's shrinking, and then more homes, townhomes, people, cars, things are growing, and I do love that those signs are out there, watch for animal crossing, but I don't know that that's going to help when people are in a hurry to get places, and there's just too many people to.
So what do you think residents can do to make a difference?
I think they could go to those planning meetings. I think they could attend, and they could fight for those animals. I think, especially if they were super interested, I know that they have on the website, where you can learn about the different animals and the snakes in our area. And I think just kind of paying attention to our wildlife here, and to find out where those corridors are, and to be able to understand what they do, why they do, and to be able to understand the reasons for the migration and the comings and goings of these animals.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your answers very much, and it's been fun to talk to you and get to know you a little bit. Thank you for agreeing to interview, and thank you for being willing to run to serve on council.
Thank you.